Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to take us through a session here. We're going to install RipRunner on a Windows 7 Enterprise desktop virtual machine. And the goal here is just simply to show some very basic steps of how to get from nothing to getting RipRunner installed on your Internet Information Server system. It's even easier to install on a Linux system, or if you have a hosted system that supports PHP and a database like MySQL, then it's fairly simple. I'm not going to go into the steps for that, but I'm going to show us here. I've done this a few times to practice, so hopefully this should go fairly smoothly. By no means is this the full install in the sense of I'm not going to show all the items you can configure, but just some very basic steps to get us up and running, and you can tweak it afterwards. So to start, I'm going to start actually on the Github page of RipRunner. I've scrolled down to the section titled Installation, and a few notes here. The first step, it's going to tell us to download the source code, the scripts for RipRunner. And there's a bunch of other steps talking about how to configure the system. And you can follow these steps if you know what you're doing. But if you don't know what you're doing, which is the purpose of this video, I'm going to try to show a way where try to make it a little bit easier. Still have to know a little bit about your IT settings in the sense of how to connect to a database server and things like that. You can't escape that, so you're going to need some help from that point of view. If you don't know how to set up a database server and a web server, you still need to do that. Okay, so let's get started. The first step here is to download the installation for RipRunner. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to download it to my desktop. So, okay, it's downloaded. It's pretty small. Of course, my son is downloading something very big right now, so it's going to be a little bit slower than I had hoped, but should be over fairly soon. And by the way, since I don't live in the city, I don't have, unlimited bandwidth and speeds like a lot of other people who live in town who have ADSL, and I don't know. I've got basically WiMAX, so I don't have that much bandwidth. How big is this archive? Okay, we're done. And I'm going to open that up. And there we go. So I'm just going to extract this archive into a folder here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to name that folder the name that I want to use on my website. So in this case, I'm going to call it SVVFD, Salmon Valley Volunteer Fire Department. And so here it is here. Now I'm going to, let's just take a look at the instructions here. It says to download it, to do these configuration steps, but I'm not going to follow these ones because I want to show hopefully a more simple way. So extract it onto your PC, rename, blah blah blah, upload the files to your web server. Well, my web server is on this same system. I've installed Internet Information Server, and by default under inetpub www root, this is the root folder of my Internet Information Server, and I'm going to now take this folder that I extracted, I'm going to copy it into here. And because this is a protected folder, I need admin privileges. And we're going to copy that over. And once it's done, I'm going to just do a step on my end. On your end, you of course will work with your webmaster and see how you're going to deal with permissions, but I'm going to give myself permission to write files into this folder I've just copied. So I'm going to go on users and edit the permissions, and I'm going to give modify privileges. Okay. And let's see if that worked or not. Yeah, it did, so I'm able to write in here. Great. I'm going to delete that folder. So I have now navigated into the SVVFD folder. Coming back to the instructions here, it says upload files to the location on your web server where it will be the root folder. So basically I didn't have to upload because it's all on the same computer here. And if using IIS, which I am, you should import this special file using these steps. So what are those steps, you ask? Well, step number 1, start IIS Manager. Let's do that now. IIS Information Services Manager. Okay. So we've got that. Try to make it so I can see both of these nicely. On the left hand, click on connections. Up here, default website, so I have to expand this little arrow. Default website. On the right hand, over here, I'm going to select, well, actually, that's a lie. I'll have to update this documentation. Let's go down here, and what we're going to do here is, this is the folder that I copied, where all the RipRunner files are installed. I'm going to do a few steps here. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to add a virtual directory, and I'm going to call this SVVFD, and I'm going to point it to the exact path that I copied to, inetpub www.root svvfd, but I'm going to go one level deeper into PHP. So, and I'm going to click OK. Virtual directory already exists. That's because I already installed using this name once. So hold on, I think I have to restart the server here because it doesn't know that I've deleted it yet. Let's try that. And let's see if I can add this again. SVVFD. Oops, did I scroll too much? inetpub www.root svvfd php. No. Alright, I'm just going to clean up. You won't be seeing this error message. When you click OK, it will just continue. I'm just going to pause and restart in a second. Okay, so coming back, I'm just going to show what I did here. So one of my other previous attempts was using that name, so I just had to clear it out. So this is what you're going to see. You're going to click on default. You're going to say add virtual directory SVVFD. I'm going to navigate to the path that I copied it to, inetpub www.root svvfd and PHP. Again, I'm adding the PHP part here, and there, it's added it. Great. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is, with this selected, I'm going to do this import of the HT access rules. So I'm going to, with my newly added virtual directories selected, I'm going to pick URL rewrite here. Then I'm going to open feature, and I'm going to click import rules. Then I'm going to navigate to that same path, inetpub www.root svvfd php, and there's a file in here, IIS import HT access. So open that, I'll click import, then over here I'll click apply, and that should be good for us to handle rerouting of URL requests. And if you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. Okay, so I've done basically all these 5 steps here. I clicked apply. Now it says I should be able to open the URL pointing to where I've just installed it. And for me, I'm going to open a tab here beside my instructions, and it was svvfd / install.php. And with any luck, this is exactly what I should see the first time running this. Because I haven't created a config script, I'm going to see this screen. There's a few things going to point our attention to. First of all, there's a link. Click here to generate a config PHP. I'm going to do that in a second, and once I've done that, the next line here says refresh this page once the config PHP has been saved in the riprunner PHP folder of the server. So we'll do that after we generate this. So we're going to click here. It opens a new tab. Now, there's a lot of settings here. I'm going to scroll down here. You can configure a bunch of things. I'm going to do bare bones here. I'm just going to get the system up and running to show a basic install. So I've already typed in some settings, so as I go in here, I'm just going to select that. So I've got a MySQL database server installed on this same system, and I'm calling the database svvfd, username myvfd, password myvfd, and again database name svvfd. And then the website. So here, my test volunteer firehall. Let's call this Salmon Valley Volunteer Firehall, and I'll just use my own home address. Put in some geo coordinates of where that exists on Google Maps, and the root URL is going to be, in this case, I'm just using localhost, but whatever the name of my computer here, I could put that in /svvfd, and then it's important to have the trailing slash here on the end. Okay, and I don't need to put in Google Map or time zone at this point. And then for this last setting, the firehall ID. This is a unique identifier. riprunner allows us to create installation that supports multiple simultaneous firehalls, so you could run one server for multiple halls. So for mine, I'm just going to use 911 as my firehall ID just for fun. And that should be it. The rest of the settings are all optional. I'm not going to explain them right now, maybe another video. I'm just going to click Generate Configuration here. And it pops up, and I'm going to go navigate to my installation folder where I have been working, svvfd PHP. Remember, it said in the PHP folder of your riprunner. I'm going to click Save. It says I don't have permission to save there. Okay, I'm just going to leave this open and give myself permission. I thought I did that, but I must not have given myself enough permission. Properties, security, users, it didn't take, I guess. Edit, and modify access, apply, okay. Okay, so I should be able to save that now. I click over here. inetpub www.root svvfd php. Save. There we go. So now I've saved that config file into the right folder. And what did the instructions say back here on the installation page once I've saved it in the riprunner PHP folder? Oh, there's my test page. Anyway, let's refresh this page. And there we go. So now we're ready to get the installation started. I've got a configuration file. It's going to create sort of a default website. It's going to create the database and the tables, initial tables. So let's click Install, and it's going to do a few things here. So it says checking to see if the firehall is already installed, and it says nope, it does not exist. So it successfully created the database called svvfd, imported all the schema, and it created a default account, an admin account. Firehall ID is 911, and here's the password. I'm going to copy this because I'll never remember this. And I'm going to click on the login page. And here on the login page, firehall ID was 911, username was admin, and I'm going to paste the password I just copied. Whoops. Let's copy that again. And I'm going to log in. And there we go. Very basic installation. Welcome admin, Salmon Valley Volunteer Firehall. If I click on admin and go to user accounts, I can go right in here and I can change my password to something else. I'll just change it to admin, to type it twice, once there, once here. Scroll over to the right, click save. And I'll have to log in again. Only this time the password has changed, so I'll type in the new one. And I can go back in here and I can add new accounts. Let's do that. So I could create multiple firehalls here, but I'll just do another user in the 911 firehall. And this one will be Mark Voivoda. And what type of user is he? Well, he's just a firefighter. And his password will be Mark. And here I could put some more information, and this kind of relates to other features that I have not configured, like sending SMS text messages and all that, but I have not configured that back in the other screen. But anyway, and I can set him as administrator over here. The difference between user type here and here, this is security access. This user type here is used for callouts, and I'm not going to get into all the details around that. That's for another video. Anyways, I'll save this user, and oh, I didn't enter a proper user name, so let's try that again. Didn't enter the password twice, sadly. So Mark, and I'll click save. Oh, they have to be 5 characters. Of course I did it right. Let's try that again. So 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5, save. Whoa, what happened here? Okay, so sadly I had a bug that I just introduced while making some changes here, so I just fixed it. You won't see that error we just saw a second ago. You'll see something like this where it's successfully added. I'll just show it again. Add another user. This time it'll be and save. And we can add more users. Heading back to the, well, I'll just log out and just show here that in fact that worked. And I'll log in as me. Just a lowly firefighter. And I don't have the admin menu, I'm just a firefighter. I can look at callouts, which there are none. I can look at reports, which there's nothing because there's no data. But there's all kinds of stuff here, and you can explore it yourself. And yeah, so this is just basically showing how to install RipRunner, and maybe we'll make other videos to kind of go through the details of all the different things you can configure. But in a nutshell, in about 5-10 minutes from scratch, you can install RipRunner and start playing with it. Thank you.